Hello viewers, welcome to Kids Auto and Truck Repair. Today we have a 2007 Toyota Corolla. The customer complaint on this vehicle is the check engine light remains on the dash while the engine is running, and the engine cranks for a while before it starts. The owner of this vehicle is one of our subscribers here on our YouTube channel. He brought the vehicle to us so we can figure out why the engine is cranking for a while. So the first thing we're gonna do is we're gonna go in the vehicle, we're gonna confirm the customer's complaint. After confirming the customer's complaint, then we're gonna connect a scan tool to the vehicle to see what codes we have in the engine computer. Behind the camera, we have our famous cameraman, Matt. Matt, thanks for being here. So now, let's go in the vehicle so we can confirm the customer's complaint. I'm going to start the engine. I have the key on. This vehicle has 220,000 miles, 522. So let's see if it's gonna crank for a while before the engine starts. So right there, long crank, and then it started. So that's customer's complaint confirmed. The engine cranks for a while before it starts, and the check engine light is on. I'm gonna show you the check engine light. Actually, when I rev up the engine, I feel a little delay. I don't know if you can hear it. And it also sounds like we have an exhaust leak somewhere. So right there, check engine light remains on the dash. So customer's complaint confirmed. So now let's see what kind of codes we have in the engine computer. So we're gonna do a code scan. We're gonna scan all the control units on the vehicle. So this is a Toyota. Let's see what we got. Matt, can you take a guess? What do you think is wrong with this car?
Catalytic converter.
Catalytic converter. Matt says this car needs a catalytic converter. All right, so right there, the vehicle has been identified, 2007 Toyota Corolla with a 1.8. We're gonna click OK. Let's do a code scan. That's bad. When it sits for a while, it cranks for a long time. Are you filming? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay. So we got that on camera? Mm-hmm. Okay. Guys, we had to stop for a little bit because my friend Oscar came here. I had to go talk to him. He's doing some work in the lobby, so we had to stop. But you guys saw, when you let this vehicle sit for a while, it cranks for a long time before it starts. Because I forgot to turn the key off. I thought the battery was gonna die, but battery didn't die. So once again, we confirmed the customer's complaint. I'm gonna turn the key off. All right, so right there, scan tool has identified the vehicle, 2007 Toyota Corolla with a 1.8. Let's do a code scan. Let's scan all the control units and see what we got. So right off the bat, we have one code in the engine computer. The code is P0171, fuel system 2 lean bank 1. Now guys, we're very familiar with this code. To some of you who have been following us for a while, we've dealt with a P0171 here on our channel multiple times. This code is usually set when the engine is running with more air and less fuel, which means the engine is running lean. Now, an engine can run lean because of a bad mass outflow sensor or a defective fuel pump. If you don't have a good fuel pump, that can cause an engine to run lean. We can have plugged fuel injectors or partially clogged fuel injectors. So there are a couple of things that can cause this code. So now what I want to do is I want to start the engine and look at the data to see what kind of data feeds we have. Because when an engine is running good, it has to run at stoichiometric, which means 1 part of fuel and 14.7 part of air, if I remember correctly. So you can look it up, but I didn't look it up before we turned on the camera. So now when an engine is running well, you need to have, so the engine should switch between rich and lean. So it goes back and forth, okay, to keep the catalytic converter running properly. So when that occurs, we should have good fuel trim numbers. So our fuel trim numbers should be plus or minus 10% total trim. So that means short term plus long term. So now what I want to do is I would like to go into the engine computer and look at some data. This is an automatic transmission. So I want to look at my fuel trim numbers, loop status, and engine speed. Now, based on the symptom, since the engine cranks for a while before it starts, I can say that this vehicle probably has a weak fuel pump based on experience. Because if you have a pump that's not supplying enough fuel volume and fuel pressure to the pressure is regulated by the regulator, but I believe on this model, the pressure regulator is part of the fuel sending unit. So if you have a defective regulator or defective pump, that's gonna cause the engine to crank for a while before it starts. And we're gonna see that by looking at fuel trim numbers. If our fuel trim numbers are in the high negatives, in the high positives, not negative. If the fuel trim numbers are in the high positives, that would mean we have a fuel supply issue. So let's go to engine data 1. Let's see what data feeds we have there. So as you can hear, the engine is running. Our long term is 32.77%. Wow. That's high. So we went into closed loop. Short term right now is 2.31%. Long term is 32.77%. So right now total trim is about 37 or 38%. This is high. So this engine is definitely running lean. So the engine computer is trying to open the injector pulse a lot longer. So the engine computer is turning on the injectors longer to send more fuel in the cylinders to compensate for that excess air. Let me rev up the engine. Let's see if our numbers will get better. No, so when I increase the engine RPMs, our numbers even get worse. So right now, our engine RPM is 3,200, but long term went up to 40. Watch this. This is the long term, and look at the short term. So long term went up to 44.49, and then short term went up to 13.25. So right now total trim is about 60-some%. Yeah, this engine is definitely running lean. Now the question is it running lean because we have a vacuum leak, or is it running lean because we have a bad fuel pump, or is it running lean because we have a bad mass airflow sensor? The customer told me that the mass airflow sensor was changed, so we're gonna have to check it. Now, I don't have my O2 sensor data feeds here. Let me back out, because I wanna look at my O2 sensor data feeds too. Let's see if we can look at the O2 sensor data feeds and the fuel trim numbers at the same time while we're here. Because you can also have defective O2 sensors that can cause the engine to run lean. Okay, so I've done this trick multiple times here. I'm gonna do it again. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna graph my O2 sensor data feeds. I'll pump the brakes. The booster on this one is vacuum operated. So we're going to cause the engine to run even more lean, and then we're gonna see how quickly our O2 sensors will respond. So I'm gonna customize this list. Sometimes looking at data feeds from the generic side is a lot easier and a lot better. So we're gonna grab our engine speed, engine temperature, mass airflow sensor, fuel system status. So both O2 sensors. This is a 4-cylinder engine. It should have 2 O2 sensors, one before the CAT and one after the catalytic converter. We're gonna grab our short-term and long-term fuel trim data feeds. Okay, so that's it. We're gonna list these feeds. I'm going to graph our O2 sensor data feeds. Right now, key on, engine off. The first O2 sensor before the CAT is showing us a reading of 0.055, and then the first O2 sensor is showing us a reading of 3.300, And then the second O2 sensor is showing us a reading of 0.055 volt. So now I'm going to start the engine. Long crank. No bueno. Whoa, now it doesn't want to start.
No.
What in the frick? It doesn't want to start now. All right, let's switch gears, guys. Yeah, now it won't start anymore. So here's what I'm gonna do. I wanted to look at the O2 sensor data PIDs. You know, I've done this here on the channel. If you wanna see what I wanted to do next, watch my lean code diagnosis videos. Now, based on what's going on right now, it's basically a crank no start. Now it's only cranking, it's not starting. It's not like we ran out of fuel, there's fuel. The gauge is showing full right now. So now what I wanna do is, let's go under the hood. I'm gonna grab my fuel pressure gauge. We're gonna tap into the line that supplies fuel to the fuel rail to see if the fuel pump is sending fuel to the injectors. So now let's go under the hood. Okay. So we're here under the hood. So over here, Matt, I hope you can see this. This is our fuel supply line. You see this line over here? Mm-hmm. This supplies fuel. I'm gonna disconnect. There's a little holder over here. I'm gonna disconnect it. This line supplies fuel to the rail. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna disconnect this. Now we have to be careful. There might be a lot of fuel pressure here. So watch out, Mike. I'm gonna look away. Oh, yeah. See that? Mm-hmm. Yeah, so right there. Now there's a little bit of fuel that came out of it. Now I wonder if we have enough pressure there. So now here's what I'm gonna do, guys. I'm gonna do this off camera. I'm gonna grab my fuel pressure gauge. I'm gonna attach it to this line, and then I'll bring you guys back up so we can crank the engine to see if we're building enough fuel pressure. Because if you have a pump that's not sending enough fuel to the engine, it's gonna cause the engine to run lean. And based on what we're experiencing, we probably have a bad pump. So we're not gonna assume, we're gonna do some tests to be 1000% sure. So I'm gonna get teed to the line and then I'll bring you guys back up. I got my tools here. I said I was gonna do the connection off camera, but I decided to do it on camera. So I'm going to connect this adapter to this metal tube over here. And then this guy is gonna get connected here. So this will allow us to tap into the fuel system. And then I'm gonna connect my gauge to this guy, just like that. So now we are connected to the fuel system. I'm gonna put this over here. Matt is going to watch the gauge. Now I'm gonna crank the engine. Let's see what pressure we have. I believe on this vehicle, the fuel pressure should be between 55 and 65 PSI, but we're gonna check it. So now, let's see. I mean, we can look at the spec together to figure out what the spec is, because I haven't looked it up yet. So now I'm gonna go in the vehicle so I can crank the engine. Oops, that thing just fell. We're not building anything.
Nope.
Matt, remember what you and I did? Actually, you and I did a similar video when you first started working here.
The very first video.
The very first video, right? Kind of the same thing. Let me crank it. Watch the gauge.
It goes to about like 10.
Nothing, right?
Weird. When you turned it off, it then it started jumping up, and then it.
Oh, really? Let me crank it again. So it jumped up a little?
Yeah, it's like on and off.
Yes, but this is way lower than normal. We're not even getting up to like 20 PSI. So yeah, we have a low fuel pressure problem. Now, this can be caused by a bad pump. A restriction in the line, I don't think we have a restriction in the line. We can also have an electrical problem in the pump circuit, which I don't think is the issue. Because if you have voltage drop on the electrical circuit of the pump is not going to be able to build enough fuel pressure and fuel volume. So now let's just look at the pressure spec just for gigs and giggles. Let me grab the scan tool. Let's look up the spec. I believe the spec is 55 psi, I believe. We should be able to have it here on our scan tool. And then the next thing I'm gonna do is we're gonna go to the back seat. We're gonna have to pull the back seat and do the test at the pump electrical connector to make sure the pump is getting good power and good ground. If the pump is getting good power and good ground, then I'm gonna feel comfortable replacing the pump. So it looks like we're dealing with a bad fuel pump here. So let's go to guided component test. Let's go to engine, fuel system, fuel pressure right here. So you guys can read this. You can pause this if you want. Our pressure is, so right here, during cranking and while idling, fuel pressure should be about 44 to 50 psi. What kind of pressure do we have here, Matt? 20, like what, 10, 15? Yeah, so this is way lower than normal. We got a problem. Now what I'm gonna do is, let's get to the back seat. We're gonna remove the back seat and then we're gonna do some tests at the pump electrical connector and then we should be ready to call it, okay? Yeah, this is starting to look like we have a bad fuel pump. So it's interesting how the customer was able to drive it here. Now it doesn't start anymore. Luckily, it died here in the shop. And I hope our parts suppliers have this pump. So now let's get to the back seat. We are back here. I'm gonna remove the back seat. This seat just pops out. What? Hold on, yeah, I should be able to pop this out. There we go. This thing is hard. Okay, I'm gonna have to go on the other side. Nice. So we're gonna remove this seat. This bottom piece, we're gonna take it out. Then look how dirty this is. Yeah, look, all these coins. All right, so now we're gonna remove this panel. This panel will give us access to the fuel pump assembly. So we're gonna use a 10 mil ratchet, 10 mil socket. So remove this. Okay. I'm gonna pull this. Ta-da! Looks familiar, Matt. Cameraman Matt is gonna be an expert here. In a couple years, you guys will kick me out of here. You'll be like, Dio, we know how to do this. You can leave. We got this. So I'm gonna disconnect the electrical connector of the pump. What the heck? This thing is hard. Remember in that video, I don't know if you watched it, Matt, the pump, removing the ring on the pump? Man, that one was so tight. Some people on the channel said you should have disconnected the, you should have undone the fuel cap to get the pressure off of the tank. That's what I should have done, but we might have to do that this time. So I'm gonna pry this cover pries up. There we go.
Last time you stabbed your hand.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't want to. Now, if you look over here, we have 4 wires. This is a 4-wire connector. We have a brown wire, yellow wire, black and red, and then white and black. So if you look over here, these two wires are heavy gauge wires. They're bigger. And then these two are small gauge wires. They're a lot smaller than these two. So the small ones are the wires for the fuel level sensor. And then the other two wires are the wires for the fuel pump. So one of them is going to be power and then the other one will be ground. So I'm going to connect the connector back to the pump. And then I'm going to use this test light to test the pump circuit. So I'm going to back probe the first wire with my back probing tool, and then we're going to back probe the second wire, and then we're going to connect our test light to these back probing tools. Okay, now I'm going to crank the engine. When we crank the engine, we should have power and ground going to the pump. If we have good power and good ground going to the pump, the test light is going to light because it's connected across the pump circuit. So we are connecting the test light to the power wire and the ground wire of the fuel pump. So when I crank the engine, this test light should light and the test light should be bright. If the test light is bright, that means the pump is getting good power and good ground. If the test light is dim, that means we have a voltage drop problem in the fuel pump circuit. So I'm gonna reach over here. I'm gonna crank the engine. Right there, what do you guys think? As I crank the engine, the test light lights and it's bright. Does that look good, Matt? Yeah? Now the car started. Actually, let's go under the hood. Test light is lit. Let's go under the hood and check out the pressure on the gauge, because the gauge is still connected. Let's see. I'm sure right now our pressure went up a little. Look. So our fuel pressure went up to about 24, about 25 psi. Now the engine is running. I'm gonna snap the throttle. Watch that gauge. What's happening when I snap the throttle? Nothing is happening? Yeah. This pump is bad. It's dead fuel pump. We have good power and good ground at the pump. The pump is defective. So on this one, we can get the whole assembly. So I'm gonna recommend replacing the entire fuel pump assembly. So we are done with our diagnosis. After we replace the pump, it's gonna take care of the long crank concern, and replacing the pump is also gonna take care of the P0171 trouble code. So the weak fuel pump is what's causing this engine to run lean. So I'm gonna go talk to the customer. Hopefully we're gonna get the job. I mean, we're gonna have to get the job, because if he picks it up, he's probably gonna go die somewhere. I mean, you guys saw, we couldn't even start it. Yeah, I mean, the car might die on him while he's driving. Not the customer dying, but the car. No, come on. That's not what I meant. You know what I meant. Not the customer dying, no. I would never wish that on anybody, but I'm talking about the car. The car is gonna go die somewhere. We don't want the car, we don't want the customer driving down the road and then the car just dies. That's what I meant. The car dying, not the actual person.
Sure, okay.
No. Matt is like, I'm just making sure. Are you kidding me? Anyways, I would never wish that on anybody. So I'm gonna go talk to the customer and then I'll be right back. I did talk to the customer off camera. Before I tell you what the customer told me, I wanna show you this. I don't know if you guys saw this earlier. You see, the mass airflow sensor was changed. The customer told me that he took the car to a shop. They replaced the mass airflow sensor. As you can see, the mass airflow sensor looks new, but the issue was not fixed. So this clearly didn't need a mass airflow sensor. I talked to the customer. The customer told me that he's not ready to get the fuel pump replaced right now. He's going to pay for our diagnosis fee, and then he's gonna bring the vehicle back next week so that we can change the fuel pump. He told me he wants us to do it, but he doesn't have the resources to get it done today. He will bring it back next week so we can do it. So hopefully we're gonna see him again next week. I'm gonna put everything back together. I'm gonna give the car a quick once over. This guy is a subscriber of ours, so we take care of everybody here in our shop. I'll give it a once over and then I will drive this outside. Hopefully it's gonna start easily, and hopefully this car is not gonna leave him stranded somewhere on the side of the road. So I hope that doesn't happen. So yeah, I'll put everything back together, put it outside, and then hopefully there will be a follow-up video after this one. So I'm gonna leave this right over here. I hope you like the video. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you don't like the video, give it a thumb down. But if you do, tell us why so we can make better videos in the future. If you're a subscriber coming back to watch this, I appreciate you. Thanks for being here. If you're not a subscriber, subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ring the bell so you can get notified every time we upload a new video. If you have any comments, questions, criticism, leave them in the comment box. Cameraman Matt, thanks for being behind the camera. See you guys next time.